So earlier today, I recorded this video that's playing here for us, and I was narrating it, and it turned out 13 minutes later, none of the audio recorded for some reason. So now what I'm doing is just replaying the video, which is just basically me flipping through my pictures in IR FinView, making the contrast a bit lighter. Now that just appears to be a bird there in the distance, but it's not. Upon further investigation, while I was looking at it, first of all, this is Mark LeBlanc. I'm in Malaysia. I'm at a friend's on the balcony, and 8th floor view is amazing. And I have been observing this thing. I just noticed this thing today while I was on the phone, actually, and I couldn't record video. It says not allowed while calls in progress. I mean, I could have called back. It was just a telecom to ask about my bill. But anyway, I was just taking intermittent pictures of this thing. It really caught my eye. It was just like so bright white. It looked like a kite at first. Like at first I thought a bird, because there's a lot of big white birds here. Like they're like crane-like, I guess, but maybe smaller than a great blue heron, that's for sure. But in the crane or heron kind of family, long legs, and they stand in the paddy fields. They're white, they're beautiful, but that's not that. Now I've played with the contrast so much here, it looks like nighttime, but this was at 5 p.m. It was like a gray clouds accumulating just before rain. That's the view from the balcony here. And yeah, I was watching it and trying to take pictures, and then I noticed like it seemed to be diving down and coming up, like maybe a bird playing with the thermocline, like the warm updraft winds or whatever it's called. And that seemed to make sense, but it didn't. It seemed far more rigid at other times. And the way it was moving was irregular, and although sometimes looking natural, sometimes also looking robotic. And yeah, it's true, a bird could fulfill all of those requirements, like in the way it flies, those characteristics. But I have a sense about these things. I've been witnessing plenty for 2 years now. If you look very closely, it's not. It also reminds me of something I've seen on a documentary in Hawaii but there seemed to be 3 little orbs traveling, like circling each other, but something about the movement or the pattern was similar. So there I'm just chit-chatting away saying, I don't know, it's definitely not a bird, look at that, I'm zooming in. A bird is not luminous like that. That's the number one thing that made me realize it's not a bird, and it's not a kite, unless the kite had some sort of reflective surface that the sun was bouncing off intensely. Look how intense that is. But it wasn't, because there was no sun. It was definitely a medium heavy cloud buildup, and then we got a good dumping of rain right after, and then it cleared up a little bit afterwards. So it was just before the rain. It would be some kid with a kite. I could see no string, even zooming in the pictures after. But just the way it was moving. Anyhow, it's all that to say I witnessed something again quite interesting in a daytime setting today, just from my own apartment, like just sort of pacing back and forth, waiting on hold for people to answer the call, the phone call I was placing, and then I was pissed off that it said, no, you can't record video while in a call. Come on, Samsung, it's a $3,000 Ultra flagship phone. You can't even do 2 things at once like that. That's ridiculous. I should have done screen recording and then turned the video like the camera viewer and zoomed in, and you would have seen it a bit more. But anyway, that's what I have. It definitely looked like a bird there too, but see, it was kind of plunging down sideways and then coming up, and then like right to left in that horizontal, open wingspan, rigid position. That's when for a moment I thought, well, it's a drone, but then it seemed to look more like a bird. And just upon closer look at all my pictures and zooming in like I'm doing there, It's not. That's a reverse negative that I do with Earth in View. You just hit Control Shift N, and it negates the colors or something like that, and it just gives you this color instead. Oh yeah, here I'm noticing like the mesh, like there's some sort of a mesh texture. Do you see that little squares? Then I was talking about how I wonder if like this is a common pattern that I see in these things in the sky. When I zoom in, I see this square mesh little thing. Look at that. I mean, that is just no bird and no kite. So it had an energetic, luminous aura around it. You know, almost like plasma, but the plasma tend to look more like a sphere and then a square and then a, you know, like a puddle almost, like in the sky, the plasma stuff. This was far more rigid, but then flowy at the same time, the way it was, and it was sort of diving down and coming straight back up, left and right, and eventually, the last I saw it, it went downward. So I'm like, are they trying to point a way for me to go and explore? Like, I know where that is on the island here in Langkawi approximately. Anyhow, it's definitely makes me want to go explore, but I'm no jungle adventurer, especially not with like cobra snakes and crap like that here. I won't go too deep anywhere, but I kind of want to go to that area just to see what I notice off the main road. There, it looks very much like a, you know, like both like a manta ray, mantas, what are they called? The big ones there, like in white. But see this texture with the holes all around it? I mean, it's like a rigid and sometimes flapping, pancakey, mechanically, animalish, biological, yet not kind of a thing. And that's as much description as I can give. I don't know if I'm going to talk for a whole 13 minutes. Where are we in the video? 7 minutes only. I don't know what else to narrate. I don't know what I was going on about today, but just, I think I was also in part giving a bit of an instructional video on Earth in View, which is the software you see it in now, the upper left. That was the logo for Earth in View. Now it's just the file name. So you see 11/25/2024 is the date. So November 25th, 2024 at 16:17. That's 4:17 p.m. So yeah, it was just getting overcast. There too, I'm talking about the pattern that I recognize both in my own photography with these kind of mask-like, you know, like raccoonish, white and black, masky, alien-ish at the same time. Kind of little faces or little eyes, which is in a lot of the photography from the last year of mine. And then a lot in the alien hunter, there too I'm noticing that pattern, talking about, is that what, is this entanglement theory, how we're all connected? Are we all like bugs in a spider web, you know, in the cosmos, and everything that links us together is this pattern? It looks a bit like microchippy too, which brings me back to July 27th, 2024, around 8-9 p.m. in Vancouver, when I took a picture as a helicopter was circling around clearly what was a UAP in my eyes, like an orange fireball-ish UAP. The helicopter circled, the helicopter then goes for a broader circle, but then all of a sudden there's a green blob that appears. And when I took a picture of that again, you can see the gold nugget style UAP, and then the green thing ends up coming out like a square chip, pink and green. And here's more pink and green actually showing through right now as I'm talking. So there, that's the strange pattern, just like the thing in the sky the other day. There I'm probably circling around what looks like eyes, right? Like a face, like two eyes and a nose, like a puppy dog almost, or an alien, or whatever you want to interpret it as. It could be a goldfish too, I don't know. But why do I see this pattern? And it looks like I I took a picture the other day and the texture looks like this, and I put it in 3D on my Facebook. I mean, what am I looking at? It looks like when you, this is why I want to go to Angkor Wat in Cambodia and visit the temple there to see the detailed work on the stones that apparently can look almost like what is being revealed here, just digitally represented in, you know, what's just supposed to be clouds and sky, but when you zoom in it gets all square and blocky. Like, you can say it's just pixels if you want, but it's such an interesting repeating pattern. And that the formations look like faces a lot of the time. And that too looks actually, yes, that the outline of the ridge. Oh, there too I'm talking about how they frequently appear in pairs. Like a dark one, a light one. Something to do with quantum theories where, you know, when everything has its, you know, its mirror look-alike or whatever, and when you affect one thing, it affects the other. It could be down to particle size and atoms and molecular level, as well as like planetary, or you and I might have our own, you know, double, if you will, or our opposite, or whatever, somewhere else, and when one is affected, it affects, almost like twins. There too, it's such a strange glow around it. Now that's the reverse negative. What a bizarre shape. See how it's flowy, it looks curved. Oh, it's so interesting. I don't know what's going on. Well, that's enough narrating. I'm going to mute, and you can just enjoy the rest of the things, and if I have something cool to say, I'll pop back in. But yeah, that looks so like spinning top kind of flying saucer there. It's near the end actually, so I did an okay job, yeah, of finishing the narration, so there you go. There's the pictures, and I was practicing to apply a contrast and a lighting scheme to the whole thing, and it worked, a batch conversion. Anyhow, that's a little presentation for today. I will re-upload this to YouTube, and so it won't be a silent film this time. Anyway, this is Mark LeBlanc signing off for now from Malaysia, November 25th. It's now 7:30 p.m. No, it's later than that. It's like 11 p.m. That was the time at which I was there we go, the time at which I was editing it the first time. So anyway, there you go, 13 minutes and 30 seconds.